Hi, I'm Daljit Sabawal, Director 4H Trainings, and I would like to tell you something about my company. First of all, I would like to tell you why I named this company as 4H. By saying 4H, I mean to say H1, H2, H3 and H4. The very first H is hand, the second H is head, the third H is heart, and the fourth H is humility. So I named my company as 4H, H1, H2, H3 and H4. Now, when I say H1, hand, I mean to say sensory intelligence, the knowledge of body, physical parts. When I say H2, I mean to say head, that is mind, the knowledge of mind, the thought process, how the thoughts are created and all that, the logic, the reasoning. And when I say H3, I mean to say heart, and we all know heart, generally it's for feelings, emotions, which play a very vital role in anything we do. And by saying H4, I mean to say humility, the spiritual intelligence, the cause we are there in this world. So that is the reason I named my company as 4H. We try to cover different workshops in different fields, like in soft skills, behavioral skills, leadership, emotional intelligence. And that is what we do in our 4H. The people who are on first level, that H1, they generally remain labor. Then the people who get opportunities, they study like some become doctors, some become engineers, and in different fields. They are managers. They can manage things. But the people who study emotions, they become the leader, because it is the emotions which makes you do something. A person cannot get up and stand if he is not emotionally involved. It's the emotions which fuels you to do some work. Then definitely the fourth H, that is the highest level, that is spiritual intelligence. I don't think people can reach there now, but yes, some they reach certain levels. So in that stage, what I called is guru. So those who know only about the body, they are the laborers. Those who have known little bit about reasoning, the logic, the thought process, they become the managers. And those who studies emotions, they know they can express their emotions and they can catch the emotions of others. They become the leader. And definitely the one who touches the spiritual level, the humility, they become guru. But what I personally feel is that now it is not possible that there will be any guru, because to be a guru, he has to be a master in all the fields. Like it is a step, like from sensory to cognitive to emotions to spiritual. When a person can hold his emotions, then only he can know what the spirituality is. So these are all the 4 steps. We in 4H, we conduct different workshops in spiritual intelligence, in emotional intelligence, leadership, soft skills, behavioral skills. So that is what we do in 4H. And that is little bit about me and my company. Thank you.